Yo, my dudes, what's up? Look at those team helmets, boys. God damn. like, like 8 of them down the start line, dude. God dang. Okay, so either way, wanted to come in here and make this video on things that MX Simulator still needs and still hasn't been changed, and I cannot believe they haven't been fixed yet type shit. Okay, and I already made a video on this. A lot of these things are going to be like repeated things that still haven't been fixed in the game, and it's like literally facepalm, how the fuck have these things not been fixed yet? Like certain shit that just you would have thought it would have been fixed by now, like JLV. Like these are the things that right now, fix it right now. It needs it right now. Like some of these things have been in this game ever since I've been playing it, and it's like, why the hell is it still like that? I don't know. So that's basically what I'm going over. These are like some of the most simple to fix, the most why is this not fixed type things that are in the game right now, right? That's basically what this is all about here. So number one, okay, is the whole ghost thing that happens when you're on an online server, right? So basically, if you don't know what this is where, like, whenever somebody kind of goes off the track or they get out of the timing gates, which is all of the little gates, throughout the track that keeps you kind of on. Like, it's basically like it records you going around the track, and then when you go across the finish line, then that's your lap time, you know what I mean? But if you go off the track a little bit and you don't hit one of these timing gates, that's what gives you the cuts. You know what I'm saying? That's what actually gives you the cuts on the track. So, and your timing gates are basically in between the tough blocks, right? Throughout the track. Okay, so can I show this real quick? Let me see. Fuck. Yeah, right here. Okay, so like if I go up here, timing gate, right? You got timing gates all over the fucking track. So what you got to do is you got to go in between all these. Like when you go around the first corner, let's say you totally skip the first corner, right? And you go like right here where you don't even hit this 0 timing gate right here. You go straight up the inside. Well, that's how it actually gives you cuts. You know what I'm saying? That's how it does that. But either way, my whole point is the whole ghosting thing that happens is when you're on an online server, if you go out of those timing gates or you do something really weird on the track, like you kind of go backwards or whatever, it'll turn you into a ghost, like this dude right over here. You can kind of see that right there. Let me see if I can get over here to myself. So this is what the ghost actually looks like, and it's not going to show this in the playback, but what happens is you know, like this is just somebody that disconnected right here, so it's kind of showing the ghost right there. But what will happen is you will have somebody that is actually riding on the track, and they look like a ghost like that. So you can barely see them, you can't really tell exactly where they're at, but what happens is the whole problem with that is they actually come back. Okay, so this can be really hard to fucking explain that if you don't know MX Simulator, but what happens is you'll be riding on the track like normal, right? And then you'll have somebody that'll kind of like jump off the track, miss a timing gate, go backwards on the track, whatever, so they'll turn into a ghost, but they'll only turn into a ghost for a temporary amount of time, right? And then they will pop back up. Oh, and by the way, when they're a ghost, they're obviously not collidable, okay? So you'll have dudes all over the track that have like, kind of missed a timing gate, went backwards or whatever, and they're a complete ghost. So you can ride right through them. It's almost like they're not even there, but they are. But the whole problem is they can instantly come back whenever I don't know how that all actually works, but it's like, I guess it's when they hit enough timing gates again to get back in rhythm of the actual, the race itself. Then they come back and they're not a ghost anymore, and they're fucking collidable all of a sudden. Like you'll be racing and you'll see a bunch of ghosts in front of you, riding in front of you, and you'll be like, oh, okay, whatever. You'll ride through one of them because they're a ghost. It's like, all good. You'll come up to another one, and then right before you run into them, all of a sudden they pop back up, and they're not a ghost anymore, and they're collidable, and then you wreck on them. JLV, what the hell is this shit? I'm telling you, it's god-awful. It's god-awful. Literally game-breaking in a random online server. I don't know how in the hell JLV has not got this fixed yet, but and the reason why, if you're wondering in your head, like, why the hell does somebody even turn into a ghost in the middle of a race? Well, the reason being is because JLV, that's kind of like a a system into the game to where somebody can't just like cut the track and then run into somebody else. That's really what it's meant for. It's meant to kind of, you know, prevent that whole like somebody just completely cutting off the side of a track or going down a rhythm or going backwards and running into people. So that's why it basically turns you into a ghost and makes it to where you can't collide with people whenever you do something really stupid on the track. That's why it does that, right? Or you get really out of line on the track. But then once you get back online, get back in line on the track, you will pop back up and not be a ghost anymore and be collidable anymore. But the fucking problem with that is we can't tell when that's going to happen. The person that's actually sitting there in first place lapping these ghosts and stuff like that, we can't tell when they're going to pop back up. It's completely random. There'll be a ghost non-collidable 1 second and then not a ghost collidable the next. You see what I'm saying? So you can't tell what the hell is going on. It's so fucking annoying. Like, JOV, for the love of God, fix this shit. Please. Thank you. Appreciate it. By God, everybody in the community wants this and has wanted this. And this has been a problem in the game ever since I've been playing the game right here. Swear to God, it's been a problem ever since I've been playing the game. So, I don't know. I mean, I get why it's in there, because obviously you don't want some jackass just totally cut the track or go backwards and run into everybody and ruin the race. Like, I get it, but at the same time, it creates another problem on the side that is just so fucking annoying. But either way, let's continue down the line. So there's still this whole complete mini-map bullshit going on. I'm not really sure why this is still a thing, but it is. So we still have this whole where when you're actually on the mini-map, if you look up there at the top right, you're this big-ass arrow, okay? You're this big-ass red arrow, and this is more specific in the pro racing, but it becomes more of a bigger deal on that. But basically what happens is when you have somebody right on your ass, okay, right behind you, which is very frequent in a pro race, what happens is their little white dot, you can see everybody's other little white dot up there going around the track. They'll be so close behind you that you won't even be able to see them, because that white dot will technically be underneath that big red arrow, which is you on the map. You see what I'm saying? So you can't even see when somebody is really, really close behind you. You can see it right here. Let me kind of show us. Okay, right here is a good example. So look up there in the top right. You can see my red arrow, right? Then I get right beside this one dude right over here to my left, and my red arrow is so fucking massive that it completely almost covers up that dude right there to the side of me. So if I was to look up at the map at this split second, I wouldn't even really know that there was somebody right beside me. You see what I'm saying? Same way up here. You can see how my red arrow just completely, look at that. If I was to look up at the map right this second, I wouldn't even know that there was a dude right here to the right of me, because my big-ass red arrow icon covers up all the other riders, the white dots of the other riders on the mini-map. It's just so stupid. Like I get it's a small thing. I get it, okay? But it's just so stupid as to why it would even be like that. Why? Make your fucking rider icon on the mini-map a small little dot, just like the other small dots, like a small red dot instead of a white dot, so you know that it's you, right? There's no sense in it being a fucking red arrow. There's literally no sense. A big-ass red arrow. There's no reason. JOV, what the fuck? There's no reason in that. And not only that, and let me just say this. The reason why I'm really going into this hardcore is because RF, the professional racing organization in this game, bases their goddamn rules around looking at the minimap. So if you go off of the track and you're trying to come back on the track, if you do not look at that minimap and see who's coming towards you and you go in front of somebody, then you're at fault for that because you didn't look at the minimap. All of their rules are based around the minimap, which is some of the stupidest fucking shit I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, let me play a simulator. Let me get on a fucking simulator and have to look up at my mini-map because that's realistic. Oh, and they allow third person in the pro racing because, yeah, that should be allowed in a simulator. Yeah, let me not even get into that shit, okay? But seriously, though, so on top of all that, I've got to look up at the mini-map, or I could get protested and banned for not looking at the mini-map, but I've got this big-ass red arrow that I can't see where the hell riders are that are right around me. It's so conflicting, like the way the minimap is in this game. It needs tuning. It needs fixing. You know, personally, I think there shouldn't even be a goddamn minimap because it's a simulator. Do you have a minimap in real life? Can you actually look up at a minimap in real-life motocross and be like, oh, this dude's coming up the inside over there. Let me look at where that guy's at. Oh, okay, this dude's over here on the right side, crashed up here. Let me look up at my minimap real quick inside my helmet in real life. The fuck? That's not even the way it is in real life. Are you trying to make a simulator? Or what are you trying to do here? I mean, what the fuck? Like, I get in single player, the minimap's kind of cool because it's like you can see where you're going when it's on a track that you don't really know. Like, trust me, I get it, okay? But this shit's ridiculous. This, like, it's getting to the point, I feel like I'm playing Call of Duty, right? I feel like I'm playing Call of Duty with a fucking UAV. And I feel like I'm sitting here having to look at my minimap constantly because it's such a massive ass advantage looking at your minimap when what I should be focused on is the actual goddamn gameplay and my front fender and what I'm doing. You see what I'm saying? But no, they base the rules around it. The minimap itself is kind of fucked. Like, it really is though, guys. Okay, so let me just explain the next little layer and level of this. So when you're getting lapped, when you're a lapper, right, the only thing that you can see that tells you that you're a lapper is that little blue bar will pop up, you know, kind of like basically right above where my name is down here, right? Little blue bar will pop up and it'll tell you the number of the person that's lapping you. If you're even on the track, like remotely, right? But if you're not, it won't pop up. You really, like, if you go off track and back on track, you won't even see a blue bar when somebody's trying to lap you. So there's a whole nother issue with that in itself. But not only that, why is it not like you display that on the minimap? Why wouldn't you display that on the minimap? If you're going to have a minimap, display everything on the minimap. Don't make this half-assed minimap that only displays like half of the shit that's going on. Don't do that. You don't need to do that. So basically what I'm getting at here is, like, when you're racing and you look up at the minimap, all of the riders are white dots except you. You're this big fat-ass red arrow that covers everything up on the minimap. But other than that, the leader is a green dot. Okay? The leader is a green dot. So I just don't see, like, if they're going to have a minimap, why wouldn't they go in there and color code, like, everybody that's a lapper? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't that be color coded? Like, everybody that's a lapper is a blue dot instead of a white dot, so that you know the person you're coming up to is not the dude that you're actually racing for position, and he's just a lapper. Or, on the other hand, if you are a lapper, there should be a color coded system to the dots to where it will show you all of the people that is going to be lapping you and all the people that's on the same lap as you. That way you can tell the people that's coming up behind you who's actually lapping you, who's actually not lapping you. I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you're going to have a mini-map, you might as well display everything and go all out with it, instead of having this super simplistic mini-map and then telling us that the fucking rules in RF are based around this super simplistic, you know, minimalistic mini-map. It's just ridiculous. Like, and this is partly on RF and it's partly on JLV. It's like, you know, they're both kind of at fault here, but what I'm saying is it's either have no minimap and no rules based around a minimap, the way it should be, or if you're going to have a minimap, display everything. If you're going to have a minimap with rules based around a minimap, display everything. Shit. I mean, it's really not that difficult. So, the other thing is, why the hell is, like, backing up on the gate and doing all this weird shit on the gate allowed? This is where I'm kind of confused. Okay, so let's move into something else here. I genuinely still think, ever since JLV put the high speed, low speed, rebound, and compression in the game, and you guys have been playing this game for any amount of time, you'll remember that update specifically, right? The popping off in the game hasn't been the same since. Like, it's been worse since. It's been more unrealistic since. You see what I'm saying? And I've been playing this game for, 2 years since that update. And I still feel that it's just different. Like, I'll have a lot of people tell me, hey, Spence, I literally just landed a jump completely 100% perfectly and popped off for no reason. Like, that wouldn't have happened back in the day before he put that update in. And as soon as he put that update in, I was popping off of 5-foot fucking doubles for no reason. I felt like I was playing MXGP Pros. Like, what the hell is this game? And there needs to be quite the pop-off system because it is a simulator, but it kind of got out of balance whenever he did that high-speed, low-speed compression thing with it. It just got completely out of balance. And what he did is he realized that, talking about JLV, the creator of the game, he realized that like a couple weeks later and went in there and put an update that made it to where you wouldn't pop off as much over a small jump. Like if it was 5 foot off the ground, he like lowered the pop off chance if you're 5 foot off the ground. He did some little update right there to where it lowered the chance of you popping off, but I still think it's a little bit too high. Like the random janky pop-off feeling of the game is still a little bit too high. And of course your setup, suspension, everything makes a difference on that, but still, even considering every bit of that, it's still a little too much. Like there's still just a little hint too much of that compared to what it used to be. I feel like it was way better the way it was before the high-speed and low-speed compression rebound. It was way better as far as like being able to run a stock suspension setup back then, whereas now you almost feel like you damn near can't even run a stock suspension setup because you feel like you're going to pop off on everything. It's fucking retarded. It's like, why am I popping off on everything for no real reason? Like that doesn't really make any sense. Like there's some sort of little janky physics thing to that. I don't know exactly what's causing it, but there's still something weird in there that will make some of the most random, for no reason, legs off, pop off systems in this game. There's still some things, some moments where it's just like, there is no way that would have happened in real life. There's no way I would have popped off. Whereas like back before he did the high speed, low speed compression rebound, you could run a stock setup and be pretty fucking good in the game. Like, it felt pretty good. You didn't feel like you were just going to pop off everywhere. But now it's got that feeling like when you're running stock suspension, shit, I'm just going to pop off over every little jump, every little 5-foot double. Like, I'm just going to pop off everywhere. It's got that really weird feeling to it now. And there needs to be a little bit more TLC put into that whole high-speed, low-speed compression rebound and the way it feels at stock. You know what I mean? And I even think in an update, JLV even changed the way the stock suspension was to kind of combat that a little bit. Like he changed the way the one of the stock suspension settings default-wise, right, to combat that whole popping off with a stock setup in the game. But it's just created more of a barrier of entry for the people just getting into the game running a stock suspension. It just creates more of a barrier to entry there. Whereas when I first got into the game, you could fucking really do pretty decent with stock suspension. And then you could just like barely tweak on it and it would still feel good. It was way easier of a transition back in the day before the high speed, low speed compression rebound and the way the game was back then. Stripper poles, the way the game was back then, it was way easier to just work up from that stock default suspension and adjust on it and figure out what's going on it. Like back in the day, like 2016, when I was running up front in RF 450 Supercross main events, I had suspension so close to stock, it's not even funny. It's not even funny. Some of you guys wouldn't even fucking believe how close I had that to stock. But once JLV started doing all this shit with the high speed, low speed, pop off of, random ass shit, now it's like you have to have this adjusted, edited suspension settings or it's just going to pop off on everything. And it shouldn't be that way. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be to the extent that it feels like it is in the game right now. That's all I'm getting at. So either way, just kind of wanted to, mention that there. But other than that, that's a couple of the main, heavy hitter type things right there. I just still cannot believe that some of those things haven't been fixed. The front end lock has been definitely improved upon for sure, 100%. He did a little update where it fixed that front end lock like 30 something percent or whatever the hell. So you can definitely bang bars a little bit more now. I even think it would be okay to even have a little bit more, just a little bit. Not a lot of bit. Maybe all I need is a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit more lessening of the front end lock. You know what I mean? A little bit more of the making it to where you can bang bars without falling down instantly, right? I think he could do maybe 5 to 10% more of that in the game, and it would just make the game better, period, overall, right? And I feel like his first little update that JLV did with all that was kind of like, in a way, it was like, okay, we're going to make it to where you don't fall down as easy. You know, we're going to kind of make it to where it's not quite as much front-end lock, like 33% less front-end lock, whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? So it's basically JLV did all that. I feel like he did that in a way of just kind of seeing how that would work. You know what I mean? Seeing how that would be. And see if I can find myself there. Went through everybody across the countryside. Okay, here we go. But I still think at this point, now that I played the game with this newer, less front-end lock update for a while now, and had tons of collision moments. I've been riding on my online server with a shitload of people. Been tons of collision moments, tons of, running into people and shit. I've got a lot of experience with this newer front-end lock update shit as far as collision-wise, and I still think he could go, like I'm saying, 5 to 10% more, basically more bar banging potential without falling down. 5 to 10% less front end lock, right? I still think he could do a little bit more on that, and it would just make it feel better overall. But yeah, that's just my own personal opinion there. But to each their own. I'm sitting here having tons of collision, moments every single night in this game. So if anybody would know, I would know what the hell's going on with the collision. But yeah, other than that. I really hope JLV starts putting in the more bikes, like 85cc bikes, 150 KTMs, true 500s, not just the ghetto ass, community made 500 that's actually on an old school 450 with 500 sounds, right? Like, if I was JLV right now, that would be one of the biggest things I'd be working on as far as like in a bigger gameplay element type thing would be newer bikes, like true 85cc bikes in the game, true 150 KTM two-stroke bikes in the game. They have 350s. Why the hell is there not a 150? You know what I mean? Some would say the RM125 is a 150, but either way, not only that, but even the 500s, like I'm really confused on why the 500s aren't really a thing in here. I just think that's like really, really would be cool to have. And another thing I kind of thought about was, this is something I've been thinking about for a while, but and this is kind of more, I think, on the server side. I don't really know how they would do this, how JLV and the server side would do this, but basically having it to where you could set your server up in a way to where your own personal online server up in a way to where you could have like different like restrictions, different like roulette type style restrictions, right? So if you wanted to go in there and have a fun race that was like first gear only, you could restrict everybody that was on that server from having to stay in first gear. You could force it to where they could only stay in first gear. They couldn't shift out of first gear. Or you could restrict your server to where it was like a certain gearing only, or it was like you can make it to where, there was no leaning, there was only turning, or, something insane. Like you can make these cool, like roulette type adjustments to where people can only, do a certain thing within that certain online racing server. So you could do really cool shit like that. This one's not quite as important or quite as big of a thing. I just thought it was a cool idea, to be able to have something like that. Or have it to where it's like automatic shifting only. Or it's like arcade fit. I think you can make it to where it's. I think the way it is right now is you can turn arcade physics where if somebody has that on, they can't get on the server. But I don't think you can turn like arcade only physics on. I could be mistaken by that, but and of course that's coming through the Flowtech servers, which a lot of that is on their side too. But yeah, either way, other than that, that's some of the. Some of the things I've just been kind of thinking about really needing to be changed in this game. You can even go into like some of the, some of the bullshit you can do on the starting line, like being able to back up a little bit without getting the false start penalty and then kind of like jumping the gate early and being able to take off way ahead of people. That's still a little bit of a problem. There's still the whole issue where people will like sit back and like preload their suspension and get this boost off of the start. A lot of little bullshit like that going on. A couple of things need to be like controlled and limited and moderated in a sense, and it'd be a lot better in that type of degree. But other than that, I mean, that's some of the things I've just been a little bit frustrated with, especially the ghost bullshit. Good God, you got to fix that, JLV. Good God. It's just so annoying having somebody that's a ghost and all of a sudden popping up like, shit. So annoying, dog. But, yeah, not only that, which I don't think they're ever going to do this because they're a bunch of pussies, but the forced third person in pro racing, I mean, why the hell is that not a thing? I don't know. It's a simulator. Force first person. There's really nothing more to say to it. It's a fucking simulator. If you want to go jack off in third person and throw whips, that's fine. If you want to go play with your buddies on your own server in third person, that's fine. Don't have it where you can be third person in the fucking pro racing and get the advantage of seeing every single other person beside you and around you, and they run up the inside of you. See, that's what's so frustrating about this pro racing in the game right now, is it's not even realistic in the sense of you're able to look at your mini map, see where everybody is. You're able to be in third person, see where everybody is. There's way too much being able to see around you compared to like somebody that's really trying to play the game genuinely in first person and really trying to play it like it's like you'd be racing in real life, like in first person, and not sitting there constantly looking at your mini map. That the person that tries to play MX Simulator like a simulator gets heavily disadvantaged in the pro racing. It's almost to the point where it's like, if you're not playing the game in third person and you're not constantly looking up there at your minimap like it's Call of Duty 4 with UAVs, you're at a massive disadvantage because you're not seeing everybody around you and seeing the people that can run into you and seeing everybody on the start, which is complete bullshit. Stop making all these things that's making MX Simulator less of a simulator. Stop doing that. Take that shit out of the game. Stop basing your pro RF rules around looking at the goddamn minimap. I cannot explain how stupid that is. And then that goes into JLV needing to put the whole ability where you can actually turn your head in the game and look over in the game. And not only for being able to see more people, in a pro race, or when you're trying to get back on the track re-entry, being able to look over and see if anybody's coming towards you, right? Not only that, but it'd be badass being able to throw whips and look over at your ass end, you know what I mean? Or throw a scrub and turn your head over, look at your back fender, give a little shout out to the sponsors, you know what I'm saying? There's so many more different aspects that would go into the being able to turn your head in the game, move your head in the game. Why is it just not on the D-pad? If I turn my head to, hit the left on the D-pad, it'll turn my head over, but I'll still be riding in the same position I was. And then if I let off that to the left on the D-pad, it'll put my head right back to the position that it was. Or if I do up on the D-pad, it could look up or look down. If you hit a big ass jump and you're trying to look down and see below you a little bit better, you should be able to do that. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that. And then if JLV had that full look around system, and of course you'd be able to map these buttons to anything, but I think the D-pad would be the most realistic, right? Putting it on the D-pad. If you put it on anything else, it's going to be really hard to do it. But if JLV really did put that full look around system, look up, down, left, right, you would have no need for a mini-map anymore. You would have no need for mini-map-based professional rules. There would be no need for any of that bullshit anymore. And then at that point, then it's really why the hell are you allowing third person in the pro racing if you can look around everywhere? See, it's just the third person in the pro racing. I know a lot of you dudes out there racing third person, but you really shouldn't because it's a goddamn simulator. You really shouldn't. Now, if you want to do it for fun, go get you some. If you want to go in there and throw your whips in third person, hey, go get all that you want. If you want to run your own third person, personal races, by all means, dog, do that shit. But in the actual professional tippity-top slope of the competitive racing in the game of a simulator, you shouldn't be allowed to have third person on. You just shouldn't. And if you disagree with that, stop playing a fucking simulator, because that's the whole point of a simulator. Like, what the hell? What the goddamn hell? I sound like Kevin Bacon right now. But either way, so that's just a couple of the looking around, being able to look around without actually turning. That's a big one. That's a big one, JLV. That's another big update you need to put in here. Tire pressure. I've seen a couple of people talking about that. Be a cool little addition. Being able to check out tire pressure shit. So yeah, that's certainly another one of those things I've thought about for sure. There's already a lot of adjustments in the game, but it'd be interesting, like, being able to have that tire pressure shit, and then, like, you know, really being able to lower your tire pressure, getting a little bit more traction, or being able to raise the tire pressure on a dry track, that is, right? And if you raise the tire pressure on a drier track, then it kind of gives you that more slick slide out feeling. It'd be kind of cool to have that. Just because it's a simulator, you would expect there to be a tire pressure adjustment change. That's just something you just kind of expect to be in a simulator, right? So that's kind of, you know, one of those little aspects I would think would be a cool addition. Not that it's going to change the whole world or anything, but like being able to go from maybe like 9 psi to fucking 16 or something, you know what I mean? Something like that. That'd be cool. Don't give it like a stupid range or anything, but just a pretty realistic range of what people would run. And that way, with your different track compounds, whether it's a dry, hard pack, or like a sand track, you could really get in there and adjust on things and figure out, you know, exactly what kind of tire pressure you want to run. And it'd be pretty cool, dude. That'd be kind of one of those things that'd give you a reason to go in there and change something night to night, race to race. If you weren't already doing that, it would make it a little bit more realistic in that sense. Not only that, but I mean, we've all kind of wanted newer bike sounds for a while now, actually professional from JLV bike sounds. I know there's all the ghetto-ass custom created bike sounds, which some of them aren't that bad, but especially considering, but still yet, I think we all really do want that newer bike sounds out of JLV at this point. I know they've kind of been in talks of a little bit more of a graphical update to the game, making everything look a little bit better. I don't know what's really going on with all that, but that'd be cool to see. A little bit of a graphical improvement, which that kind of starts going into MX Simulator 2 vibes, and so it kind of gets a little bit weird, but either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.